Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vocal Journeyman. This is a vocal freedom update episode. I'm going to walk you guys through how to use and where to get this vocal freedom plugin that I'm using to start to analyze vocals and stuff. First, let's talk about where you're going to get this thing. You want to go over to stash.reaper.fm. Okay. And when you are at the stash.reaper.fm website, you want to go ahead and type in the little box over here, user BlueJay. That's my handle on there. And it'll get you over to the Vocal Freedom page here. So from here, you can download that plugin. And I'm making regular updates to it, adding things, leaving things out. Okay. So you can download that as a JS plugin. Now, for those of you who don't have Reaper, like us, I was told that somebody mentioned to me that they had Samplitude the other day. I believe that there is a kind of a plugin that you can get which allows you to port JS plugins into other DAWs. Or you could just get Reaper itself again, which is an easy solution. But that's where you're going to get this. I'm currently working on this. I'm looking at years of development, I think, to get all the stuff that I've imagined that I could do with this in there. So keep that in mind as we go forward here. All right, so let's talk about how to use this. So I went up on YouTube and I got some isolated vocals of a few people. In this video, I'm going to use Lou Graham. And what you want to do is you'll just go ahead and add the Vocal Freedom plugin to the line. If you're going to do any EQing or anything on your own live line, okay, you're going to want to, let me go ahead and shrink this down to make sure you guys will be able to see it okay. There we go. That should be visible. I have to get myself a little more organized here. So bring it in, go over here to the 4 in, 4 out, set 1, 2, the line that you're on to come in. Then make sure that 3, 4, you're going to want to adjust this, see in the track channels. Make sure you have 4 channels on the track. Bring in on 3 and 4 the other one that you want. So what I did is I've got Lou's isolated vocals on Cold as Ice right here over on track 1. And all you have to do, I'll go ahead and do this for you in case you guys don't know how to do this. In here are all the sends. So I'm going to actually delete this send that goes over there. I'll show you how easy this is. Go down here and grab the send receives box, drag it over to the channel that has Vocal Freedom on. And now go down here, if you take a look, set that to go to 3, 4. So on the track where you have the plugin, you're going to make sure there's 4 channels coming in. Then you're going to do a send from the isolated vocal that you want. Send it over the 1, 2 out going to the 3, 4. And now it'll be ready to go. Okay. Now let's go in here and watch what will happen if I hit play. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
You're as cold as ice.
Now I got Lou.
You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Okay. Now a little thing on here I want to show you guys is the harmonic slider. So I added some sliders here that'll help us out in visualizing the parts that we want here. This is how many peaks it's going to try to identify in here. These are not necessarily artifact free. So you have to have a sense of where that note is to start with to kind of orient you a little bit. I'm going to try to improve on that as we go forward, but for right now, that's what you get. I'm going to take the FFT size here. I'm going to set that up to 2048. Notice that that gives us a bin size of 23 hertz. So when we interpolate between that to get these little dots that are the peaks, we're not getting exact. We're going to get close enough to be able to help ourselves learn some things about how this singer is singing. And we'll be able to sing along with him. And I'll show you how I do this for right now, the one thing I have so far. Okay. The low cut here is basically going to start cutting off dots from the bottom. Okay. Just in case you want to do that, you might be able to use that to get rid of some of these sort of extraneous low noise, low frequency noise bumps that come in there. Okay. All right. So check it out. I'm going to hit play. We got it all set up.
You're as cold as ice.
There's Lou.
You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Okay. Now, if I want to freeze him,
You're as cold
I'm looping
as
my
ice.
play. It's just going to keep looping
You're
over him if
willing
you
to
look up here.
sacrifice our love.
I'm going to catch him on love.
You're
here.
as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
There we go. I got a good one.
You're as cold
right.
as ice.
So now I captured him on that love. Okay. Now at 2048, you're going to see that there's going to be interspersed peaks in there. I found that setting this to 1024, 2048 is the highest you probably want to go, but you have to choose an FFT size that kind of lets you identify pretty easily what the fundamental is. So now he's singing love on that high vowel. Well, I can actually sit here and I can now try to sing that. Love. And once I get it relatively close, okay, then I'm going to go ahead and hit the freeze all button. The freeze all button would freeze both of them if I were singing live with it. But because I hit the freeze 3-4 input, that froze him. Now I can look at myself relative to him. Okay. So the dots and stuff that I have on here for right now. Oh, what happened? It must have reinitialized. Let's go ahead and start her over again. Let me get her one more time. Love. I know that's irritating. I'm sorry about that. Just trying to give you a little bit of a sense of what you got going here. So you can actually then at that point, you can come right in here and you can look and see, okay, what your shaping is. You can look and see. So one thing that I'm looking at with this, let me try and pull that out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to get my window shaped here. The thing is it's just shutting off the graphics window. That's why you have to turn it back on. So let's get Lou again.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Okay.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
All right.
You're as cold as
I'm not liking that. I'm not liking the way that that's shaping right there. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to hit this FFT until I get 1024. Yeah, that's what I want is 1024. So let's go ahead and redo that at 1024.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
There it is.
You're as cold as ice.
Okay. That's a really good looking sample of him. Love. So now what I want to do is I'll try to adjust myself a little bit. Just to try and see how well I do at this. Love. Okay. All right. Again, sorry for the annoyance there. But here you go. You take a look that when I say love, now what is causing this right here? The difference is right here. And you might say to me, well, what do you mean? Is it no, take a look here. Here's the fundamental. I'm close enough. I'm not bang on it. I'm maybe a little flat if I look at how the graph is there and just what I'm hearing, but it's not too bad. You'll notice that when I say love, the way that I like to say love, the way that I trained all my muscles to do since I was a baby, I don't hit him right on. I had to say love. I literally had to say love, love, in order to be anywhere close to the way that the harmonics are being formed in him. So we'll talk about why that is in a second. But look at this region right here, where I'm definitely down from him. Okay, you can still see the dots are relatively lining up. So that's me and that's him. But this is up in that 2 to 3K region here. He's got this more brilliance right here. Now, this is taken out of, I'm pretty sure, the $1 Million Master that went on the album. One of the guys can tell me whether it was a $1 Million Master or not. But so it has, you can hear reverb on there. There's probably delay. I don't know what all they had back in 76 that they could put on there, or if it was a remaster. But it's not completely raw vocals, okay? But you can see I'm different than him in that 2 to 3K region. And then up here too. Now, if you don't think that those things matter to the sound, I want to tell you that they do. That if you go up and you throw a plugin on there that can just make you hear only that, and that's pretty hard to do for it to squash everything everywhere else, because this is all coming out of a fast Fourier transform. So it's pretty hard to completely clip it that way. I'm looking for a good filter to do that. You can use the X comp to sort of solo and get a sense of what's in each one of those areas by making it relatively louder than everything else. We're not going to worry about that right now. But these things will matter to the overall sound, right? And those who are into mixing and stuff like that, it's possible that these things got EQ'd, okay? And that's one of the things that, in what I'm about to do here, I want to really caution you, especially if you're a young singer or something and you think that you could use this to teach you how to sing like someone else. You better, first of all, make sure that you got a good foundation of how to sing. And 2, don't over push it and don't hurt yourself. And 3, make sure if you're doing this, you really have raw vocals, because if they EQ'd all that up higher, okay, then I might be trying to aim for a sound that even the man himself wasn't getting. Okay. So, but watch, I'll see if I can get a nice sustained note and figure out what I need to do to bring those harmonics up higher. So here we go. Okay. So what was I doing there? I was going more or less, getting more ping, getting more squinch, whatever you want to call that, right? I wasn't going nasal. So watch, I can do this nasal too. I'll do it without, make sure I'm doing it without nasal. Okay. So amplitude now is up right here. I still didn't fill that gap in. I got better on it, but I didn't fill it in. So what's the point and purpose of this? I just want to throw this out there for you guys who may want to look at this. First of all, when you get these isolated vocals and you listen, you're going to be able to get that shape, and you're going to be able to hear whether that person is actually singing the vowel that you think they're singing. So your mind, you say, well, he says love. It's the word love. I know it is. And then I go, right? You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love. So my goes out forward like that. His doesn't do that. And in fact, almost all of his vowels have that sort of sacrifice. You'll go through there and you'll look at it. You'll be able to see that. So hopefully there's use cases where this will become helpful for you, right? You won't take advice. You won't take advice. Someday you'll pay the price. So I struggle in there to get, yeah. And I'd let this devolve into some kind of thing because it's really challenging to basically sit and compare yourself to one of the greatest vocalists of all time. But hopefully you guys can see the value of the tool here, okay? Because far from being something where you're going to learn how to sound, or you should even want to learn how to sound exactly like someone else, it can help you to discover ways in which you're shaping your formants, your vowel modifications. Sometimes those are necessary, not just to get the sound of that person, but to even be able to easily sing that note. So there it is. All right. I just leave that one out there for you guys, and hopefully you'll find this interesting as we go forward. We'll be able to do some more stuff with it and kind of help ourselves out to learn some more about singing. All right. That's how she works right there. And kind of lost track what I'm saying here. Oh, yeah. There it is. Duh. Okay. So in terms of these things adding up or not adding up, la. Okay. In terms of them adding up or not adding up, sometimes you may look at this, and again, this is relative. It's not precise. Even the most, quote, precise software isn't exactly precise in what it's doing. We're accessing the fast Fourier transform, and we're making comparisons from the data that comes out of the fast Fourier transforms. But you may notice at times that you'll look at a singer and it'll seem really strongly obvious to you that your overtones are not lined up exactly the way that their overtones are lined up. Okay. And I thought that it might be interesting for you. This is just an aside before we talk about one other thing, that not every instrument is going to produce a perfect integer multiple set of overtones. Some human voices may not. And depending on, as I said, the processing that maybe was done to that vocal, you might see things kind of stretched a little bit from where they should be. That can happen. But typically it's because the way that that person's whole anatomy is shaped, along with the habits they have as a singer, along with what they were raised to say and how they say it, can cause it to be really, really hard for you to nail down the fine tuning of the overtone series that's in their voice. Okay? Just keep that in mind, to not give up on singing when you start comparing yourself to people like Lou Gramm. All right. I mean, of all the ones I listen to, I have several of them out here now. Quintessentially the greatest pitch, tone, affect. The incomparable Lou Gramm. So anyways, but I noticed that he does a lot of, you think he would be saying things differently, but let's just listen to him for a second here, just for the sake of this, to finish this up.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
So there's a lot of in there. It's ice, but it's ice. Sacrifice. Love. And depending on what you get here, because he's transitioning in and out of vowels as he comes through this thing, but there's parts of that love that you just simply, I couldn't get until I started almost saying love. Okay. So again, those are other uses for you to get here, because that means that if I'm trying to consider, what makes this singer great. I've got to consider the diction. I've got to consider the pronunciation. And you may along the way be able to discover um, different shaping, different resonant strategies that you've never thought that you weren't using or that you are using. That could be really helpful to development over a longer trajectory. I really wouldn't recommend anybody sit here and dial this in and just sit there and constantly go back over it over, right? I mean, do it for a while, get on it, but make sure you're not creating the equivalent of a repetitive stress injury on yourself. If you're feeling like you're having to kind of force a shaping onto your vocal tract that you're not comfortable with, just be smart about it and take it a little bit at a time and learn the muscle memory. It may seem like a small difference from the red to the blue rate here, but I got news for you. It can be a tremendous difference. It can be a tremendous amount of effort that it might take if you're not used to trying to do what you hear your favorite singer doing. And that's just not in the big things. That's in these small little shaping moments as well. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so trying to explain the oddness of a lot of loose vowels got me over to this Italian pronunciation. Yeah, Italian pronunciation, a primer for singers. And there's more than a few resources out there talking about how you should handle it, or the best way to handle it if you have to sing some songs in Italian. But I think his real name is Louis Grammatico. I'm guessing that's Italian and that's where that is coming from. So kudos. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. I hope this wasn't too run on. You got enough to be able to start using this to really think deeply and make some comparisons. Let me know in the comments below whether this is useful or any new features that you might like to see here. I've already got new ideas in the docket for the next one. I will update them regularly. I'll be updating them and making videos about the different features. So, all right, until next time, God bless. Hope to see you back here again.